You want to know what's better than Christmas morning? A Christmas morning where you can watch a Gundam episode. Though it is a bit weird when you think about it, since this episode kind of establishes him piggybacking off of episode 10, where a lot of characters are going to have to be put 6 feet under, let's put it that way. So on one hand, Christmas morning, generally positivity, opening up the presents, visiting the families, eating some nice dinners. And then Gundam's like, hey, we're gonna make you melt your hearts with this adorable Mirin as well as Soletta reunion. They wanna be together forever. And then the ship starts exploding, and if that's not a Gundam on Christmas, I don't know what is. Now, with all that said, I hope everyone does have a great holiday here. It is Christmas, but I love talking about these anime, so of course we're gonna do the reviews. Now, with an episode like this, it was kind of nice and refreshing because we had to wait a couple of weeks to get this episode. We're gonna have to wait a couple of weeks to get the last episode, just with the way scheduling is happening on Japanese TV. But the fact of the matter was, we kind of left off in a way where it felt like these two girls were separating, where there was a wedge now, and honestly, who knows what would happen with Soletta. And then in comes this episode, immediately puts that concept front and center, and almost resolves it within an episode, which honestly, I can't remember the last time I've seen something quite like that be handled as smoothly and realistically as they just did. Because here's the thing, if you naturally have a connection with someone, and you start acting different around them, and I mean, they're gonna notice, right? Even if they haven't known each other for as long as some people have, at the end of the day, Mirin, honestly, with the last episode, she wasn't trying to be mean, she wasn't trying to be rude, she was legit just trying to relieve the burden of everything that she was piling on Soletta. And Soletta obviously took it the wrong way, like she doesn't need her. And then in this episode, we see her not get a lunch, not get all these different things, and just feeling like everyone hates her. And the fact that rather than just keeping it in a way where, like, that tension's there, Mirin's like, what the hell's wrong with her? She's being distant, she's being cold, screw her, and making it worse and worse like you typically see in a show like this. Instead, Gundam said no. Realistically, if anyone cares about someone, whether as a friend, romantic, or just a general common decent person, they're gonna say, I wonder what's going on. She seems a little weird. Go investigate. And while you're investigating, you might just so happen to hear a phone call with Mama Prospera, which then in return resolves the entire thing. And I thought that was refreshing because it doesn't feel like they rushed past anything or they basically didn't let it fester long enough. I mean, truthfully, the unexpected break between episodes 10 and 11 kind of let me just ponder that entire sequence more than I already was after leaving the episode. And to see how Mirin just comes in and she kind of throws a little temper tantrum, she starts crying and hugging and embracing and just says, idiot, like, seriously, you're the entire reason I don't run away anymore, and like, it just melts your heart immediately. Now, was I expecting the ship to immediately start blowing up afterwards? No, but I was expecting the last episode of the Corps to do something that would break hearts. But I think it's so brilliant because if you're gonna do something like this, you need to, at the very least, put a band-aid or repair any damage to main character relationships, unless you want to just have them die off screen or on screen and just have a wound that's going to make a character hurt all the more that they never got to apologize or anything like that. So to have them come together as strong as ever and arguably stronger than ever, I mean, groomed forever, partners forever, it just felt like they were there. And then the ship blows up and we get introduced from the witch from Earth. We have the witch from Mercury versus the witch from Earth. And based on her desires, I mean, kind of seems like a psycho. She's very interested in meeting her, and in doing so, that means a fight. But, maybe we could be kind of like on a positive note. She did promise that she would never lose a duel, so of course that means she wouldn't ever get hurt or anything, right? Yeah, someone's gonna have some hearts broke before the show officially wraps up. Maybe not this Corps, hell, maybe not next Corps either, if they do decide to do what they typically do with these Gundam shows, which is by the end of the second Corps, they usually announce the other two Corps. Same thing happened with Iron-Blooded Orphans, same thing's probably gonna happen with Witch from Mercury. But either way, I mean, this was a great episode. It was, in a way, a slower episode, but it kind of had so much excitement at the same time. And I think really seeing someone like Soletta, who's that happy-go-lucky, we put 2 feet forward, and even if we get thrown back, we keep on with a smile, to see her just paranoid, like when someone's like, oh, that sucks, or you're doing it wrong, they might just be talking about an app on their phone, not talking about the way you're moving something. And to see her like that, and to get the conversation quickly with her mother and how she's like, hey, come visit and we can do this or that. You know, it's kind of heartbreaking because she says that knowing that probably some shit's gonna kick off anyway, and it's just like the way she manipulates her kids and everyone, it's hard to watch because Soletta's so oblivious to most of it. But I mean, that woman next to her, the side eyes, the way she talks about her daughter, and every time she talks about her daughter, you know damn well she's talking about Ariel, she's not talking about Soletta most of the time, and when she is talking about them, she's talking about both of them, but you can tell the Gundam means far more than Soletta does, which then just piles on to the theories we've been making about where is Ari and everything, and it just makes it all the more intriguing. There was that chase scene, though, when we had our girl Miriam just going after her, and that entire sequence was so beautifully directed. I was reading up on who animated that, and I guess it's the person responsible. So if anyone's ever seen that amazing intro scene in the Cowboy Bebop movie, the person who does those key moments like those is actually the one who was brought out to do something like that. I'm just like, it was so great because that was the type of Sokka you don't see as praised much when you see random videos on Twitter or the internet, right? Because people typically show the crazy action scenes, but man, chase scenes are always so good. I mean, any good superhero movie always has a good chase scene, and just to see them in space, right, with that floaty nature, they really animate it in such a way that you felt like these characters were actually in space, they were doing these crazy moves, and honestly, it was one of my favorite scenes that I've seen in this show over all 11 episodes in terms of a production scene, right? Obviously, there's key emotional highlights, but I mean, just the emotion with her running away, Miriam saying, "You're not gonna get away," what everything represented in that moment and how beautiful it was directed. I mean, they brought out their A game for this episode, which I was not expecting. I figured if anything, next episode, final episode, that would be the big hurrah moment. And instead, they had some emotion with the body reactions, the language in general, in terms of how characters are freaking out, the faces, and the fact that we're in a floaty environment. It just added even more weight because the characters were so weightless, right? But I mean, I've been excited for this one. This has definitely been one of my favorite shows to cover in this anime season, which is definitely saying a lot given the absolute quality of this anime season. And I'm excited to see where the next core will go when we do get it, most likely in spring, unless something happens and it gets delayed there. But there's something about the anticipation of the last episode of this core and knowing that things are about to change. Like I've been saying that over the course of these videos, is that things are going to change most likely by the end of this core or probably soon into the next one. And based on the attack here, Bob the Builders, he's still not looking too good with that gun to his head. Everything is building up to these kids aren't going to be able to go back to the way it was. And maybe that greenhouse that she's been taking care of, she'll never see again because it feels like everything's about to change and most likely for the worse in terms of who lives and who dies. And that's exciting and that's Gundam and that's exactly what we expect sort of a thing. But I'll pass the torch to you. What did you think of Gundam Witch from Mercury episode 11 and what do you hope to see with episode 12 in a couple of weeks? Do let me know down below, leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new around here. Now, if you want to go the extra mile, you can consider supporting the Patreon. Usually I'd say I have a full live reaction to today's episode, but because it's Christmas, I wanted to save myself a little time. So no live reaction to today's episode, but I got a bunch from previous episodes and I will be live reacting to the last episode as well. So do consider that if you so wish. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.